Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Shai de la Fuente, a member of BCBP Alabang.
And I am Erica Sanchez, a member of BCBP Makati City. And welcome to
Unmasked.
Unmasked.
Once again, welcome to Unmasked. This BCBP live talk show is streaming in Facebook BCBP Kapatiran and YouTube BCBP TV. Tonight, we are featuring the Programs and Services Directorate, and we have aptly entitled it as PSD, the Invisible Guardians. Why is that, you might ask? Well, we will find out later as we unmask three of our servant leaders who, shall we say, literally dirtied their hands in their services as PSD. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Shai. This is so exciting. I personally am excited to hear from our experienced panelists this evening. So let's get it on. Our first guest is a graduate of BCLP 18 in 1992, almost 30 years na. 30 years old though, in service. In service. He and his wife, Jenny Josena de los Reyes, belong to the Green Hills chapter, and they have three kids, Gino, Bea, and Leah. He works as a risk and securities consultant and has served as the chapter's PSD for a year, then moved up to be its chapter head, RCD for NMMR1, and now serves in the MANCOM. Please welcome our NSC PSD, Noel de los Reyes.
Good evening, Erica and Shai. Kamusta kayo?
Good evening, Noel. Happy you could be here with us this evening. Our next panelist is a graduate of BCLP 22 and BCBP Makati. He's an advertising executive by profession, but at home, he's the executive chef and loving husband to Lulu Sunico Avellana. They have three children, Jay, Kay, who is married to Jed, and Elle, and they have two grandchildren with one coming very soon. Prior to becoming the president of the BCBP, he also served as NSC for PSD from 2009 to 2011. A very familiar face to many, a true pillar of our community, our current NSC for Business Transformation, Tito Joey Avellana.
Good evening, Chai and Erica. Hello,
Good evening,
BCBP
Tito Joey.
World.
Tito Joey.
Nice. So our third guest is a balikbayan, or shall I say balikbisita, here at Unmasked. Remember our very own version of Tom Cruise from the first episode, Mission Possible? He is the country business lead of Buzz One. Together with his wife Monette, they took their BCLP 13 in 1987 with the Green Hills chapter. They have three sons, Brian, Nicolo, and Jonathan. Of course, not to forget their one and only dog-ter, Chibi. He has served as regional coordinator for PSD, then as NSE for PSD from 2016 to 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, our president, PV Belay. Hi, PV.
Good evening. Good
Hello,
evening,
Tom.
Erica. Good evening, Shai. Good evening, Joey. And Noel.
Good evening, PV. Good evening, Noel.
Nice. Good evening, everybody. Erica, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When did you join BCBP ba?
I actually joined BCBP in 2015 in Bangkok.
Ah, right. I remember that. Well,
because you had a big hand in it.
Yes, because we invited you. Anyway,
Yes.
I joined in 2005 with my wonderful husband, JV. And I recall my PSD na noon at that time, so 2005. But a little bird kasi informed me that when BCBP started back in 1980, there were actually only two directorates, Mission and Chapter Life. Did you know that?
I did not. And I'm actually very excited to hear about the PSD because I'm
Mhm.
very curious about what really goes on behind
That's
closed doors
true.
with this directorate.
Guess what? Many of our members also don't know or are not aware of this. So we had to look for and directly ask the man, our Kuya Bobby, who was so willing to give us a backgrounder on how PSD started or how it came to be. So before we talk to our panelists, let us watch this from our past BCBP president and the very first NSC PSD, Bobby Lavinia.
It was at the tail end of the Luis Morales presidency that the Programs and Services Directorate was established. But it wasn't until Manolet Shoho took over as president that a national coordinator for programs and services was designated. And that was me. I was the first one. It all started because I was the PSD of Green Hills at the time. And I was designated as national coordinator because I was vice president at the time to Manolet. We had no manuals. There were no BCBP-wide programs. Programs and services directors did not know what they were supposed to do. In fact, it was funny because the very first meeting we had, that was exactly what people said. We've been designated, pero hindi namin alam kung anong gagawin namin. But clearly, there was a need because PSD was established to take care of certain aspects of chapter life that were not being attended to, particularly advocacy, social action, work with the poor, in other words. Communication was spotty. Not all chapters at that time had communication plans. So those were the things we focused on. And then there was the matter of disaster response. So when we first established PSD, we did a few things. The first important program we established was the Be Honest campaign. This was and continues to be the biggest advocacy programs of BCBP. And in fact, it was because of this advocacy program that we got involved in national issues at that time. We also established a nationwide program called EcoReach, which was meant to do micro-lending to nanays who needed it. But one of the other things that we did that was very helpful was this matter of disaster response. Everybody got involved whenever there was a disaster that occurred anywhere in the country. A call was sent out, everybody responded, and significant assistance was extended to those in need, whether they were BCBP members or non-BCBP members. We also started the Kapatiran at that time. It was a national newsletter. At that time, that was the principal means with which we were able to communicate to all the members by distributing these newsletters. Nancy Catan was the moving spirit behind this Kapatiran at that time. And well, I understand she continues to be involved in the online version. The Be Honest campaign, the social action through EcoReach were things we did. The disaster response, Kapatiran, all of these fell under the purview of programs and services. And I feel that during that time, the Programs and Services Directorate was one of the significant efforts that BCBP did to get the BCBP members united. We were involved in national programs. I certainly think that the Programs and Services Directorate is going to be a significant factor in the future for the survival and also for the growth of the BCBP. Thank you.
Yan naman. Thank you very much, Tito Bobby
So
Lavinia.
informative.
Diba? He shared with us the beginnings of PSD and how it has carried out and contributed to a vibrant community life. And speaking of community life, shout out lang to our viewers from Silay, Calibo, San Fernando, Canlubang, Alabang, Palompon, Rosario, Padre Garcia, Makati, Santa Rosa, Apari, Ubay, Bohol. Grabe, parang ano na to, Miss
Ano
Philippines.
to eh, mula Pari hanggang Hulo.
Hanggang Hulo. Meron pa from Bohol, Daanghari, Davao, West, Cebu, Naga, Green Hills, Bulacan East, Malaybalay, and Cebu Northeast ang galing. So,
Yes, so daghang salamat sa imong tanan for tuning in, and for those in the Western Visayas area, madamo nga salamat gid for being
Yan
here with us
naman.
tonight.
galing mo talaga,
Hanggang
Erika,
doon lang kaya ko.
mag-Bisaya.
Hanggang lang kaya ko.
Cebuano
Sorry sa
ba
mga
yun?
nasa norte, hindi ko kaya.
Okay, so back to our show, and after all those hellos to our guests out there, meron akong narinig na tawag sa PSD, Erika, and I'm sure you want to hear this. Kaya lang, it might result in the end of our Unmasked show. So I'm sort of afraid to go into this. But
Put your
unless
trust in the Lord, Shai. Put your
I
trust in the
do.
Lord.
And I also trust na baka Tito Joey, would you want to share it? Baka naman okay lang.
I think we should let
Sure,
it come
no
from
problem.
Tito Joey.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
remember. Yeah, I remember that we had our first conference, all the national PSDs, all the PSDs from the BCBP community. About 120 of us were in Cebu. Okay? And our facilitator was no other than Tatang Louis Morales. No? And he goes up there in front of all of us and he says this. And it shocked us. No? He said, lahat kayong mga PSD sa BCBP, kayo ang basurero ng brotherhood. Of course, we were all shocked, no? But that's Tatang Louie for you. Yung hindi mission, yung hindi formation, itapon nyo sa PSD yan. That's the start of PSD.
Well, that's very interesting, and it's a very interesting term to use. So again, for all those who are joining us tonight, please don't forget to use the chat box for your questions, your shout outs, and anything. I see now we even have Singapore. Singapore has just shouted out and said good evening to everybody. So another question I have, and I'll direct this to Noel, our NSC for PSD. Invisible guardians. So you're really behind the stage, and coming from the video earlier and what Tito Joey mentioned, there are really so many services that are being done by the PSD. So kumbaga, jack of all trades, no? Currently though, are those still the activities of the PSD? Has anything been added? And to add on, what do you think is the ideal personality for somebody who will be suited for PSD work?
Adding to what Tito Bobby said earlier, ang nadagdag lang naman dyan is celebrations tsaka external affairs involving government and the church. Now, regarding yung personality, sabi nila you have to be a team player kasi you work within the MANCOM eh. Marami kaming NSCs eh. And also, you have to be, may leadership qualities ka rin kasi nga there are many ministry heads under you eh. And lastly, kailangan daw healthy ka. Kaya kita mo karamihan ng mga naunang PSD healthy. Pero
so does this describe you?
Tanong mo kay PB.
Please, PV, enlighten us.
O naman, Noel, you fit the position or the service to a T, di ba? Extra large ka nga. At triple X pa pala. When I was regional PSD, the challenging task that was assigned to me were one, setting up the National Grand Breakfast with Pinoy. Kasi we were only given 2 weeks to set up everything. And then after that, I was tasked to organize the participation of the BCBP in the first National Congress for New Evangelization by Cardinal Chito Tagle. So it was a joy to work with Chito Tagle. The BCBP was given a module to handle then. Tapos ngayon, when I became National Service Coordinator for PSD, I pushed for the setting up of the Communications Ministry. Bakit? I believe that communications is very important in any organization, especially the BCBP community. We're such a big community. So the communications ministry head in every chapter, which is under the PSD, ang trabaho niyan is to get what's happening from the other chapters and share it with the members of the chapter through their social media channels. At sila naman, they will share with the rest of the community the novel ideas or activities that they are doing para magkakaroon ng learning learning from each chapter in the other chapters.
Communication talaga is very important. I agree with you, PV. And Tito Joey, so yung kinommunicate sa akin ng informant ko kanina, tama naman pala, medyo controversial nga ang tawag sa PSD. Pero isa lang ang masasabi ko, basorero de class naman kayo. So, eto hindi na to from a little bird. But Tito Joey, I was wondering, we heard that one of your talents is singing. So I asked, qualifications ba ito ng presidents of BCBP? Because our previous guest, Joff Almoro, also sang in the last episode. And curious ako, may theme song kaya ang PSD?
Actually, hindi qualification ng BCBP president na kailangan magaling kang kumanta. Basta pogi ka. Di ba, PV?
Yeah.
Seriously, good training ground talaga ang PSD for chapter head and even higher service in the BCBP. Let me give you a bit of trivia. Ilang former PSD ang kilala nyo naging presidente ng BCBP? Erica, would you know the answer to that?
I don't, but I'll invite
Sirit.
everybody watching to put their
Okay.
answers in the chat box.
Let me cut it short and count them for you. We start with Tatang Louis Morales, 1. And then Tatang Bobby Lavinia, 2. And then myself, I was the third PSD, national PSD. And then the fourth was Joff Almoro. And the fifth one is, who else? Our current president, PV Belay. Kaya delikado ito si General Noel de los Reyes eh. Ready ka na ha? Now, let me indulge you with an answer to the question. What is the theme song kaya, if you wanted to ask the question, of the PSDs? So, let me regale you for a while with some stanzas of a song that I would like to dedicate to all PSDs. Here it goes. Promoting the best of tea, that's the thing we do. In and out of BCBP, sharing joys and blessings too. Advocacy, calamity, election, punctuation, ang trabaho ng PSD. 8 days a week. So, be honest, be happy, serve others, support the work of the PSD. 8 days a week. Thank you.
Wala ba kayong mga kamay dyan?
Galing.
Thank you, Tito Joey.
Joff is so happy.
Yes, Joff is very happy because in the comments he already said that. I'd invite Tom to sing, but he's already told us once before that he does not do that in front of a live audience. So, Mr. President, as one of the invisible guardians, I have a very serious question for you this evening. What was the most religious thing you did when you were a teenager? Para naman may konting inspiration coming from a previous PSD-er.
When I was a freshman in college, I joined the Days with the Lord retreats in Ateneo. No? And for the next, for 4 years, I was a volunteer staffer. That's actually where I first met Joey Avellana.
I see. So if that is the most religious thing you've done, what naman is the most notorious thing?
Naku.
Diba? It's Unmasked. You've been here before. You know how this goes.
Also in college, I joined the Ateneo Student Council in a protest march. And we all ended up in Bikutan. O, hindi naman ako papayag na ako lang sasagot niyan. What about you, Joey?
Ako, well, dishonest before the BCBP, oh, why not, di ba? Pero ako, muntik ako maaresto. Muntik lang. I was almost charged for a crime, but for country. Martial law kasi noon, and I was a student activist. So I had to flee to the US. It cost my college diploma in Ateneo. life goes on. Talking about the Be Honest campaign, though, I was asked to help launch it in 2004 by Bobby Lavinia and Manolet Soho. My first project as National PSD was finals of the Be Honest Oratorical Contest, which was held in UMAC in Makati. In 2015, when I was president, the BCBP joined our partners in mission to organize the Filipino Movement for Transformational Leadership, or PMTL, with us as the lead convener. PV, maybe you'd like to add to that.
It's a good thing you mentioned about what we're gonna do for the elections next year, Joey. No, well, we issued a memo addressed to the community, encouraging all members to make sure that their children or even grandchildren who are of voting age to register so they can vote next year. We also partnered with Participate PH because of voter education. Participate PH is a non-partisan coalition of different groups. Usually mga universities, no? They'll be coming out with mga data, metrics, proper information that's to guide people on who to vote for next year. And then just a few days ago, we met with the Network for Justice and Compassion. This is an outreach of Ligaya ng Panginoon. It was set up by senior leaders of Ligaya like si Secretary Babe Singson. Ang primary activities nila, one is voter education, voter registration, then voter education. So we're talking on how we can collaborate with each other for next year's election.
It's nice to hear all of that, no? I was wondering, Noel, baka naman you have something notorious from way back then.
Wow.
Religious muna. Religious muna.
Sige. Sorry naman.
Religious muna before notorious.
Okay.
Two sides of a coin.
Always good to have two. Sige, Noel.
Alam mo, Secretary Panelo, nadamay pa ako. The most religious thing I've been doing, when I was younger, yung when I was graduating in high school, nagdadasal talaga ako noon. Kasi gusto ko matanggap doon sa college na pupuntahan ko eh. Kaya tapos nag-umpisa na rin ako magsimba. Actually, that's how religious I was before then. Now, notorious, well, when I was 19 years old, nag-aaral na ako sa Baguio. Ginugutom kasi ako eh. So we raided the officers' mess. And in the process, we destroyed the windows. Ginawa namin yon after taps or after 10 o'clock. Alam mo talaga, mahirap akong ginugutom eh. Alam ng asawa ko yon.
Okay. Napaka-notorious pala ang ating mga PSD heads. So, I wonder how many of our current PSD directors who are watching the show have a similar story to share. Baka in-depth conversation. So I'll tone it down a little bit and talk about something a little bit more serious. And I would like to direct this to PV. PV, as a community, do you feel like we're doing enough works of mercy programs for the marginalized sector? For example, responding to calamities during their need. Like recently, I heard the one of Boracay chapter.
Actually, more than just calamities, no? We do many things, many projects to support the poor sector. Last year, the BOT approved to release 4 million pesos. One, to support the victims of the twin typhoons that hit the country that affected Bicol, Metro Manila, and northeastern Luzon. So there were members who were really affected, no? So we gave them some ayuda and supported the chapters in the relief programs, like Marikina, for instance. Then other than that, we continue to support Tanging Yaman and Arnold Janssen Foundation's feeding programs. And then we encourage chapters to use their savings, yung mga unutilized budgets to support their members who are in need, who were adversely affected by the COVID pandemic at saka yung economic crisis, and then also to support mga community pantries. As a matter of fact, until now, some members are doing that. Some chapters are doing that.
true, true.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, PV. It's good to know, like, again, we pivot in terms of what the community needs and what our fellow Filipinos need. But a question for Noel, I'm interested to hear a little more about the Tanging Yaman Foundation. So I understand that this started really to sponsor scholars, deserving yet financially challenged scholars. So can you give us a little more background about how many we've sponsored already, where it started, and so on?
Yeah, that's a nice subject. Alam mo kasi, kung tatanungin mo ako, dati rin ako scholar scholar ng bayan. Kaya lang nagkalat. Pero okay naman, pagkatapos doon, naging more than a scholar. Kasi pati Brill Cream, binigay sa akin ng susunod na scholarship ko. Now, going back to Tanging Yaman, baka maligaw eh. Yung Tanging Yaman, the scholarship program, actually, it's BCBP and PINMA that shoulders the tuition fees of the scholars. Ang Tanging Yaman naman, they're the ones who bet and recommend kung sino yung scholar. And as of now, because of the many numerous generous brothers, we are sponsoring 70. And we are now on the second year, actually the first semester of the second year of a 4-year program.
Galing. Hearing all these
Wow.
advocacies truly brings pride in saying, I'm a member of BCBP. I hope our audience feels the same way. Please feel free to comment and say just how proud you are to be a part of this community. I'm sure everyone would agree they are, no?
And I'm sure, Shai, hearing about Tanging Yaman, it brings a lot of warmth to your heart being an educator yourself.
Absolutely. That's so
But
true.
another thing about being an educator, and Shai would know this, is the specific idea of being on time. So one of the other advocacies is BCBP on time. And why is that very important as a BCBP member to follow? And has it been successful in changing the notion about Filipino time? So obviously, I will direct this to our president, PV.
Yeah. Erica, we are a community of businessmen and professionals. To be on time is a professional ethic. Saka ano yan eh, you are on time for anything because you respect the people you are meeting with. I remember when I was new in the BCBP, we would have our first Friday mass, first Friday assembly and teaching at the lay force in Makati. Si Father Herb, pagdating ng 6:30, will start the mass kahit 2 o 3 tao lang nandun. Kasi he will start everything on time. He thinks and he believes that we should be responsible for our time. We are professionals. We are business people.
Dun pala nag-start
That's true.
on
Yeah.
time, no? Now I have a question thank you, PV, for that. I have a question for Noel. Because we know now, that almost everything is digital. We've moved and migrated to the digital platforms. So with digital technology, what challenges confront our communications ministry head? Since this is a key task, or one of the key tasks is the proper dissemination of information. And I guess a natural question to that again, or also is, how do we now pass on the information and announcements coming from the higher leaders? So, Noel, your thoughts?
Actually, the pandemic brought many opportunities, maraming communications platform na nabuksan. Ang problema, the challenge really is yung mga internet connections. Alam niyo naman, yun ang perennial problem dito sa Pilipinas. And also, some members hindi ganun kateki. Kaya nga siguro kinukuha na natin yung mga bata kasi mas nakakaintindi sila ng technology. Well, anyway, it's always been a problem. Communication has been always a problem. That's why siguro nagkaroon tayo ng digital, NSC for digital, to address these problems. So maraming workshops tayo ngayon. We're really trying to make sure that all communications going down and all communications going up are improved, na lahat nakakaintindi kung ano nangyayari sa BCBP.
Nice. Thank you,
Very
Erica.
good. Yeah,
I think you
and
have a question, no?
Yeah, I do. But prior to that, I just wanted to say thank you for that. I think, yes, it's good that everybody is able to really get aligned with the times. And actually, there's a question, and maybe I'll direct this back to Noel since he took out the topic. What about seniors who aren't techie? I mean, you mentioned that you do have workshops and all that, but how to assure them that, it's really okay. You just have to be, what would you say to them?
Actually, ang maganda naman nakita namin para sa Green Hills, there were some members who had for the first 6 months of the pandemic, talagang hindi nakaka-attend ng action group. But some members, they really go out of their way, especially those involved with digital. Alam mo naman, hindi lang naman tayo generous ako natin sa treasures natin Time and talent also. Brothers and sisters are very generous.
Thank you. And speaking of generosity, ako rin shy, may bubwit din ako.
Ay ba?
According
Hindi
to
lang
my
ako my
bubwit-
little bird.
Yes. Sa akin bubwit, sa'yo bird, social. Pag may fellowship, pag may fellowship daw, sa PSD yan, PSD in charge of yan. So regarding the celebrations ministry, how does this relate to the mission of the BCBP? And I'll direct this specifically to Tito Joey. How does also your family or spouse feel about that service?
Well, you know, in the BCBP, we pray, we serve, engage, but we also know how to have fun. And I always say this, when you are in the midst of a BCBP function, when you hear the honest laughter, brothers and sisters, it's genuine, it's infectious, and it's warm to the heart. And I'm so thankful that all these years that Lulu, my wife, and my kids to continue to serve the community, as PSD, having to do those many things. And I think it has caught up with them as well, because now all of us, Lulu, myself, and our 3 children, are serving in various capacities in our BCBP communities. So
Thank
fun.
you. Yeah.
BCBP is fun.
It's
Thank you,
really
Tito
one
Joey.
family.
Totoo. The family that serves together.
Serves together.
They have
stays
fun together. Erica, we're now nearing the end of the interview, but I want to ask lang this question to all our panelists, and I hope it's okay if they all answer. What part of the NAC is your most favorite? Our NAC is coming up na kasi, di ba? And which NAC is most memorable for you so far? Baka naman you can share some of the places that you like or you enjoyed and why it was memorable. Maybe Noel, will start with you.
Lahat ng NAC na napuntahan ko, I enjoyed it. Tuwan-tuwa ako. Both Jenny and I enjoyed all the NACs and even our children. But the part of the NAC that I really treasure most is yung Friday assembly. Kasi it's a time for me to discover yung mga kakilala ko sa buhay, BCBP members din pala. Kamukha si Pancho Hamlig. Diyan ko na-meet una si Pancho Hamlig after several years. Magkasama kami nag-aaral ng masteral sa Lasal. Pero pareho yata namin hindi natapos Tapos, diyan ko rin nakilala si Ariel Curubin. Ba't si Ariel Curubin? Si Jess Atok ng Cebu. Sinasaktan lang ako dati niyan. Ngayon, nasa BCBP na. Tapos nakita ko rin si Ronnie Go ng Davao City. Sinasaktan ko naman siya dati. Tapos nakita ko rin si Bunny Hoben. Pag ko naman sa UP. Kaya masaya ang Friday Assembly para sa akin.
Thank you, Noel. Tito Joey, maybe your turn?
Sa totoo lang, every NAC that I attend is fun. That's really what is common to all our NACs, no? But if you want to know what is my most memorable NAC, to me it has to be Cebu. That was the time that I was president, NAC 36. We had a great program. We breached 5,000 delegates for the first time in the history. And we also were admitted to Yapak that same year, no? And we used the NAC as our acceptance of the admission to PAC membership. So that's very memorable. But it was a great and joyful celebration. And really, all national anniversaries of the Brotherhood are like a family reunion. So please, if you have the chance to go to the next NAC, and I think we should be plugging it just about now.
Yeah. August 20 to 21, our next NAC. Tita Joey, I was wondering, did you meet anyone again as a result of NAC? Somebody from your history,
your
maybe
past.
high school? Yeah.
I've met clients, I've met classmates school, like Ricky Aragon and Ram Kiyupanko. I've met clients there. Um, I've met, during the NACs, it's really always good to meet up with your co-chapter heads when it was turn. It's like a reunion. So it's really a joyful time for everybody.
Fun times. Thank you, Tito Joey. PV, how about you? Any memorable NAC?
Oo. Sa akin, ang memorable NAC is Cebu. Why Cebu? It was the first time we had an international night fellowship. The delegates from Singapore came to Cebu for that. And then after that, lahat ng NACs may international night na. The NAC to me is like a reunion of friends, no? It's where I see yung people like si Ike Padong of Puerto Princesa, Ricky Aragon of Quezon City, kasi we served together as chapter heads. Si Nelson Salvador was my batchmate in high school, all the way sa Baguio yan. So, yun, you get to see people, no, friends.
Wow, so you're talking about, I guess, yeah, as I mentioned, everybody has their own favorite NAC, but yours was specific to a milestone NAC. And I'll circle this back to PSD Noel for the upcoming NAC 41, which, like Shai mentioned, is on August 20 to 21. What can our members expect? Because this is going to be a milestone as well. It's the first online NAC, and I'm sure the team behind it is working day and night and day. Ika nga Tito Joey, 8 days a week, just to make sure it's a wonderful experience. So please tell us more about this.
Actually, it's going to be the biggest NAC in terms of participation. Pinagmamalaki kanina ni President Joey, nung panahon niya, na-breach nila yung 5,000. As of now, registration stands at 6,000 plus, and we expect more. In fact, we're targeting 10,000. Tapos, ang maganda nito, meron na tayong praise jam on Saturday. We're in 44 music ministries have signified their intention to present. Actually, 45 yung presentation kasi may malakas loob na music ministry, 2 entry pinadala nila. Kaya as of now, there will be 44 slots na naglalaban for second and third kasi makukuha ng Green Hills po yung kwan eh.
Aba.
Ganon, lalaban
Teka una, lalabang alabang.
Teka lang.
Dito, linya sa likod.
Bago kayo makailan. Bago, miski na online to, maraming sports activities tayo rito. Meron tayong virtual run at saka may fellowship golf fellowship tayo. Kaya kita niyo ang ganda ng ngiti ni President Juan Joey. Makakapaglaro siya ng golf. Kaya mag-register.
On the topic of registration,
when is the deadline?
Hanggang 28. Kasi baka mamaya yung mga iba, alam mo naman, may mga last minute dyan. Hanggang 28. And today, a lot of our international brothers and sisters have already registered.
Noel, I have a question here. Erica, sorry naman. But if there are first timers daw for the NAC Grand Breakfast, how do they get registered? Do you have information on this?
Yeah. As of now, yung metko natin, yung ating portal, medyo under maintenance. So right now, you just have to coordinate with the people that invited you through their coordinators. So far, as ang alam ko, we have more than 20 first timers already signifying for the breakfast. But we expect more.
Nice. Thank you. Erica, do you have any questions from your side?
No, I just wanted to reiterate. So in the same way that we talked about the elections earlier, so please go out and register for the elections as you're right. And at the same time, please go out and register if you have not yet done so for the NAC 41. Because again, this is going to be the biggest digital and online event for the community. And I think coming from what PV mentioned in Cebu, that Cebu was the first time there's an international audience. Can you imagine the number of international community members that can be part of this online NAC? It's so exciting. For me personally, I've never experienced a NAC, so I cannot wait for the festivities on August 20 to 21.
Erica, may knock-knock joke ako sa'yo.
Go.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Knock.
Naku.
Nakabili ka na ba ng hat mo? Kasi fellowship night, it's a colorful hats and stylish hats night. So kailangan meron tayong hat. Nakabili ka na ba?
Naka naman. Meron na.
Naks naman.
Shy, baka wala na mag-tune in. Medyo corny na
Oo nga.
tayo. Corny.
Okay, sige.
I think, well, one thing to maybe wrap up the discussion with the interview portion with these PSDs, and we'd like to hear all three talk about it, is the question of how did this PSD service affect you as a Christian? So let me start off with PV.
My relationship with the Lord even deepened with the service. Kasi PSD service is challenging, di ba? Tatapon sa'yo kahit ano. But it makes me more dependent on the Lord. Saka it's an opportunity to express my gratitude to Him for His blessings, my opportunity to express my love for Him and for my neighbor.
Wow, thank you. Let's move on to Tito Joey. How did the
I
PSD
agree
service
with
affect you?
President PV. It's really about gratitude, no? And PV is one of our best PSDs. Back-to-back PSD yan, 6 years as PSD. That's how good he was, no? And really, PSD has allowed us to be able to keep our and really give our best effort for our team and for the Lord. Because at the end of the day, it's all for the Lord. All for His glory.
AMDG. Next.
That's for me.
Blue
How
na
about
blue.
you, Noel?
Actually, I don't need to add anything, kasi sinabi na nung dalawa eh. But during my short stint as NSC for PS, ang isang trait na nagawa ko, I became more compassionate. Alam niyo bakit? Kasi awang-awa ako sa mga organizers ng NAC 41 eh. Nakakapag-attend ako parati. Kaya awang-awa ako sa kanila. Kaya kayong dalawa, dapat mag-register na kayo sa daming hirap na ginagawa sa sakripisyo. Sige.
Registered na kami ni Erica.
Excuse
Proud
me.
of it too. Yeah.
Very
Not just
proud.
us.
Proudly registered.
Yeah. Also our spouses and members of our community. A lot of us have already registered. No?
Yes, but we continue to pray, of course, for the NAC 41 committee, for
That's
their
true.
perseverance.
Yeah.
So that, and just knowing that the whole community is behind them in this wonderful service of theirs.
All the way. Erica, it's now time.
It's now that time, Shai.
It's now that time
time.
for what many of our members are waiting for. It is our fast talk portion called Be Honest, Ha? And for a change, Erica, maybe would you like to go first?
Yes, I would. Okay, gentlemen, you know how, well, PB knows how this goes, but for Tito Joey and Noel, we'll give you a series of questions. Just answer the first thing that comes to your mind, and both is not an option. Okay? Game na ba kayo?
Game!
Okay. A household skill that you acquired. Okay, a household skill that you acquired during this pandemic. Tito Joey.
Painting.
Wow, painting. Sinong mas mahirap pagsilbihan? Directors or chapter head? PV.
Ay, chapter head.
Chapter head. Breakfast head or celebration ministry head? Noel.
Celebration ministry.
Champagne or single malt? PV.
Ay, single malt.
Bleed blue or green? Tito Joey.
Blue.
Parang naghang ka konti. Naghang ka ba?
Kaya yata naka-red
Bilis,
ngayon eh.
Oo nga eh. When you're caught in traffic in your car, what's the first thing you do? Noel.
Look at my watch. Baka malate eh.
Member, BCBP on time. And for you, after Father Herb, who is the next most famous BCBP member? PV.
Ay, Tatang Louis Morales.
Naks naman. Safe na safe answer.
Nak naman.
Monumento na dapat meron yun eh.
You're up, Shai.
It's my turn. Are you gentlemen ready? Mukha naman ready na sila. YouTube or FB, Noel?
YouTube.
Saging or papaya, Tito Joey?
Sorry?
Saging
Ano,
or
I didn't get it.
papaya? Sorry naman.
Saging.
Saging or papaya? Saging. Okay. Lakatan or latundan, Tito Joey? Di na-
Latundan.
Latundan. Okay. Thank you, Tito Joey. For a chapter anniversary, beach party or ballroom dancing, Noel?
Beach party.
Masaya yon. Come in early, just in time, or late? PV?
I come in early.
P on time nga. Ay, on time, but earlier siya. Valentine party or Christmas party? Back to you, PV.
Ay, Christmas party.
Your favorite expression pag nagulat, Tito Joey?
Wah!
Wow.
Kakatuwa. The last text of your spouse to you, Noel?
Saan ka na?
Tanong na rin natin si PV, damay-damay.
Oo.
Ayaw sabihin?
Dinner is ready.
Naks naman. Nakakain na kayo. Tito Joey, how about you? What's the last text from Tita Lulu?
Yan.
Naghahang
Baka
na
sinasagot niya yung text galing kay Tita Lulu, kaya hindi niya tayo masagot.
Tito Joey, what's the last text of Tita Lulu to you?
Ano yung tanong?
What's the last text of Tita Lulu to you before the show?
Ayaw talaga niya sagutin.
Ayaw
Kasi
niyo
sinasagot na niya.
It's
Sige, Shai, may
okay.
joke naman ako para sa'yo. Since tinanong
Sige
mo kay
nga.
Tito Joey tukol sa saging, ano yung tawag sa ubos na nasaging?
Banana!
Hindi.
Tama ba? Ay, hindi.
Banana.
Kainis ka. Ay,
And
nako,
that's also
Erica.
because it's the end of our show.
That's true. I hope these gentlemen had as much fun as we did. Erica, ikaw, did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun with this group, and I really learned a lot about the PSD. Again, it's something
true.
that nobody really knows what they do, but they do so much for the community. And, you know, for all of you watching out there, you know, please continue to pray for your PSDs as they continue to really deliver on the activities and all the events that the community has.
That's true. Invisible guardians talaga sila, Erica.
They really work behind the stage, and I think that's what's most important. And you know, they don't look for, they're not out there in the open, but everything works because of them, and that's what I think I appreciate the most about them.
Hat tip
So
to them.
gentlemen, thank you again very much for being with us this evening. I hope the Be Honest did not rattle you so much, pero mabilis yung sagot ni Tito Joey sa Bleed Blue.
Oo nga.
Diba?
Pansin ko
Parang
din.
napakabilis yata.
Correct.
Ayaw nyo kasing ako eh.
Bawal eh, bawal.
Bawal yun. And again, hello to everybody who tuned in. Hello and goodbye. Sawadi, because we just saw a message from BCBP Bangkok. We miss you guys
Correct.
out there. And as always, this is the end of BCBP Unmasked. Catch us again for our next episode. You'll find out when that is soon enough. But another last reminder to please go out and register for the NAC 41.
Yep. See you at NAC 41 online August 20 to 21. And see you on episode 4. I'm Cheyenne De La Fuente from BCBP Alabang.
And I'm Erica Sanchez from BCBP Makati.
Thank
Magandang
you.
gabi.
BCBP. Bye. Thank you, gentlemen.